Mouvement.
Change.
Cinéma.
Création.
Action.
Gender equality.
Feminism.
Indépendance.
Engagement.
Parité.
Role model.
Représentation.
Sororité.
Mindset.
Empowerment. Episode 4. Aïssa Maïga.
Women in motion.
In the past 5 years, there have been 50 talks. 50 women, actors, directors, producers, have participated, sharing their experience, their thoughts on the condition of women, and their vision of cinema. Since 2015, Women in Motion, a program created by Caring, has been promoting equality between men and women in the world of cinema and beyond, as today WOMO is also spreading to the world of photography. For this anniversary, let's dive into 5 foundational talks that represent the diversity of women in motion. After Agnès Varda, Jodie Foster, and Salma Hayek, let's check in with Aïssa Maïga for this 4th episode. Aïssa Maïga is a popular French actress. She's been in box office hits such as I Do by Éric Lartigot, Russian Dolls by Cédric Klapisch, or The African Doctor by Julien Rambaldi. But her filmography of over 30 films goes well beyond mainstream movies, spreading into socially conscious art house cinema as well. She's worked with Michael Haneke, Michael Gondry, and Dominique Cabrera. In 2007, her role in Abderrahmane Sissako's film Bamako got her nominated for a César Award for Most Promising Actress. But her stellar career that seems so obvious on paper is actually an anomaly. Aïssa Maïga is, after all, one of the only black French actresses who works regularly and managed to make it, as they say. In France's white-dominated movie industry, black actresses are underrepresented, underpaid, and often reduced to secondary or silent roles, or roles influenced by history and post-colonial stereotypes. It's a sad state she strongly called out in 2018 with Noir n'est pas mon métier, Black is not my profession, an essay signed by 15 other black or biracial actresses, including Sonia Rolland, A. Aïdara, and Firmin Richard. 15 actresses who share their own harrowing experiences collectively. That year, the 16 women walked the red carpet together at the Cannes Film Festival to shine a light on their struggle and the issue of diversity.
The reason for coming here on the steps of the Cannes Film Festival Palace is to remind people that we are first and foremost actresses. We're not actresses out there complaining. We are actresses who want to call out the French press, our country's press, but also the international press, because the world is a village and information spreads at a rapid pace, and France carries a strong cultural identity. The whole world is watching France right now, and questions on diversity interest people, whether it be the United States, Canada, or England, and the African continent as well. It's a way of sending our message from within the cinema world in an official and widespread manner.
Freedom of speech.
The idea of the book came shortly before. In 2017, Aïssa Maïga saw Ouvrir la Voix, Lending a Voice, a documentary by a young black sociologist named Amandine Gay. Looking straight down the camera, the director challenges other young black women to name 5 French black actresses. Shockingly, they struggle to come up with a name, but one name comes up over and over, a name that becomes the title of the scene, Aïssa Maïga.
Each woman asks the question, and each woman is in a void, actually. And from time to time, my name would pop up and resound in this void. And that really brought out anger in me, and anger that has been there for a long time. Because I've been an actress for 20 years, and for 20 years, I've come across this situation, which is just plain bizarre. We live in a country where there is no apartheid. You see what I mean? We're not in the apartheid in the 70s in South Africa, and yet there are real obstacles. Whole entire parts of the population that really feel marginalized just because of their physical differences. So this text was really published as I needed to get back on my feet and pull my head out of the water and express what I was feeling. And then I witnessed the beginning of this movement. I watched all these women who spoke up with incredible courage
qu'elles avaient vécu, parfois
talking about the sexual abuses that they had gone through, sometimes a long time ago, with this courage that I found admirable, because these are issues that are very difficult to deal with and to express openly and publicly on top of it. They really impressed me, and it was obvious that I was very touched by this atmosphere, by this extraordinary liberation of women speaking out all over the world. I was also very surprised that it came from the world of cinema, and I admired all of these different women from different realms who felt empowered to express their concern.
Black is Not My Profession raises the question of Black women and their place. But it goes beyond that. By questioning that place, it questions a whole system of discrimination.
Speaking about actresses, even if in this case they are Black, is to speak about all actresses and about women's condition. Speaking about Black women is to refer to all who are not white, because what we endure, others endure as well. Therefore, I really wanted to stick to this angle, to this very particular group, whom, through their characteristics, is just like what a great deal of people live through. We already have a lot of testimonies just from the world of cinema, from women saying, here I am, I'm Asian, I come from Algeria, Morocco, or elsewhere. I'm Oriental and no one is offering me a normal role to play. So it is true that there is the question of how one looks at the color of Black skin. There are cultural specificities, but in the end, this way of looking at skin tremendously marginalizes women and not just Black women.
Stereotypes and absence of representation.
Aissa Maïga discovered her love of acting in high school when a French teacher gave her a role in a musical. As a young woman, she explored this new passion, but secretly, keeping her dream to herself. In her family, there were no actors or showbiz people. The Maïga family was all about activism. Her father, a political journalist, was tragically assassinated when she was 8 years old. At the age of 21, she threw herself into acting and got a lucky break, acting alongside veteran French actor Richard Bohringer in the Denis Amar thriller Sarah Cabot. But obstacles quickly started blocking her path. Casting calls were few and far between, and when they did pop up, she got confused looks. Why was she there? Did she really think she could play a lawyer? No, she'd be perfect for the part of the babysitter. Aïssa Maïga quickly understood that her personal experience was written into a system.
I'm
interested by the whole. In that whole, there are long-term recurrences. There are recurrences that concern Black women in the cinema world. These are extremely stereotyped roles that I can list very quickly. The prostitute, of course. This role is constantly recurring. The cleaning lady, the nurse, and socially subservient roles. Another aspect is invisibility, inaccessibility to certain roles, which, by the very nature of a screenplay, should be open to everyone.
Parfois des histoires qui demandent à ce que les personnages soient noirs ou soient blancs, etc.
Of course, there are cases where the story requires that a character be Black or white because it tells a story. But when a film is not limited by racial point of view, as the Americans say, I see no good reason why casting should be limited. I personally do not consider myself paranoid. When a director does not choose me, I say to myself that I don't match what he's looking for, his desire, or his projection. Moreover, from a very personal point of view, I'm rather privileged in a sort of in-between place where from time to time I actually played roles that could have been played by a blonde.
For most non-white actresses, things get complicated the minute they enter the professional world. It's at that moment that inequalities are crystallized and that the power of representations and privilege is violently reaffirmed.
Nous avons toutes bénéficié du même enseignement.
It is true that we've all been to public school with the same education. Of course, all pupils learn classical literature. But it's true that once you enter the working world, when you try out for roles and get working, these same roles are not available for us. And most of the time, the contact person is really not capable of explaining why. They've been conditioned. They follow the popular belief that Molière can only be played by a white person.
Another blatant inequality that can affect Black actresses and in general all non-white actresses is salary. a role finally does come up, for the same role, they're often paid less.
Fermine Richard talks very well about this in her book. In this case, there isn't a difference in wages between a man and a woman, but between two actresses with the same status and fame. And she felt that it was due to the fact that she was black, and that she was less appreciated as a fully fledged actress by her co-workers. She was paid 5 times less than her colleague. For the book, we decided to quote practically no film titles because the idea was not to point any fingers, but to shed light on the system.
Once the spotlight has been put on the painfully obvious, what solutions are there for more diversity? Should France draw from the American example, where the struggle for minority rights is older and more politically affirmed? Or on the contrary, should France knuckle down and find solutions that are compatible with its own particularities?
It's true that
there are a great deal of ideas coming from the US. They have a long tradition of black militancy and feminist militancy. That said, I think we French women have a real voice on the matter because we live in a different reality. We have other challenges. There are challenges that we have not yet met, in fact. These are sources of inspiration. But I do believe in French creativity from the point of view of overcoming barriers and rejections. It's true that a new generation is capable of realizing their ethnic reality, urban reality, etc. I do indeed believe that it will come from there. But it seems to me that there are screenplay writers who have censored themselves for a long time and who were convinced that their characters had to be white in order to sell their screenplays. If today we could tell those people that they can tell a story another way, with more diverse casts, with different points of view, perhaps that would fire up the flame of diversity within them.
It remains to be seen if the evolution of mentalities will be enough to prompt change. Some say what's needed is a political solution, or simply the ability to actually measure diversity in France, where official ethno-racial statistics are illegal.
I wonder how pertinent quotas really are. Lots of people talk about them, especially among the feminists in cinema. Concerning diversity, very little is said, but I am hearing some voices rise up. I myself am interested in the debate. It is the idea of sitting around a table with cinema people, producers, directors, screenplay writers, casting directors, etc., to discuss the realities of life, discuss and hope that out of this exchange, because I think you can't do it alone, comes the drawing of a path that will be, I hope, highly creative, perhaps one dealing with quotas, but perhaps one of motivating policies, that from a financial point of view would even increase productions. Pulling from examples in Canada, the US, and England that entice us to write our own story.
Being visible.
One year after the release of their essay, Aïssa Maïga and her 15 co-authors openly admitted they were pleasantly surprised by the enthusiastic reaction Black is Not My Profession received. They were stunned by the magnitude of the media coverage, which says something about the gravity of the problem and the size of the taboo that was lifted, but also impressed by the political dimension and the way that the text and its ideas spread in society. United, their voices and their experiences resonated.
This spotlight and these words create a means of identifying. I believe in it obviously creates an impact on younger ethnic groups, but I myself have been stopped by lots of young people and older people too who are not part of the visible minorities and who say they are inspired by our words because they recognize themselves in the values that we're putting forward. That's very encouraging because we feel it's a sign that we've been heard. We have the impression in particular that all the feminist words are being heard more and more. For me, that's really important because one of the dangers in developing feminist speech is that it sometimes fails to include differences, ethnic, religious, and other identities. And for me, the feminist combat can only be all-inclusive. For the moment, I feel the feminists preach a little bit to themselves. I still don't recognize myself, to be frank, in one feminist movement that includes all differences. differences.
I'm
ready to discuss with women very different from me who adopt different points of views, lifestyles that are opposite to what I desire for myself. But I do think that it is important when you live in a country like France that is multicultural.
That brings us to the end of this 4th episode. I hope you enjoyed it and it made you want to react and communicate about it. Don't hesitate to share, comment, and follow us on Caring's social media. If you want to find out more, head to Women in Motion's playlist on Caring's YouTube channel, where you will find all the talks. See you soon for the next episode, this time with Amelia Clark. We'll talk about Game of Thrones, of course, but also strong women and equal pay.
Women in motion.